Star Trek, the motion picture is better than you remember, and here are 6 reasons why. When Star Trek, the motion picture hit theaters in 1979, it was met with a mix of awe and confusion. For longtime Star Trek fans, it was both a long-awaited cinematic event and an unexpectedly slow and philosophical experience. Critics were divided, general audiences unsure, and over time, the movie gained a reputation as the dullest of the franchise. But over 40 years later, something has changed. The motion picture is aging better than expected. In fact, it's much better than you remember, and here are 6 compelling reasons why. 1. It's the most ambitious Star Trek movie ever made. Unlike many other entries in the Star Trek movie series, the motion picture swings for the fences. It doesn't play it safe with a familiar villain or a predictable plot. Instead, it tackles a heady, introspective concept. What happens when artificial intelligence achieves consciousness and yearns for something more? The central conflict isn't a space battle or a political dispute, but an existential question posed by VGR, a sentient machine evolved from Earth's Voyager 6 probe. That might not sound thrilling on paper, but it's Star Trek at its purest, exploring humanity's place in the universe through science fiction. Director Robert Wise, known for epics like The Day the Earth Stood Still and West Side Story, wasn't interested in delivering a popcorn movie. He wanted a philosophical odyssey in the tradition of 2001, A Space Odyssey, and he delivered. For viewers ready to meet the movie on its own terms, it's a rewarding experience. 2. The visuals were groundbreaking and still hold up. Many fans dismiss the film as a slow-moving light show, but the visual effects in the motion picture were revolutionary at the time and still managed to impress. The film's depiction of VGR's vast, mysterious structure remains one of the most awe-inspiring sequences in science fiction cinema. The extended journey through the cloud surrounding VGR might test patience, but it's undeniably mesmerizing when viewed through a modern lens that appreciates cinematic artistry. The Enterprise herself was also given a stunning upgrade. The film treats its reveal of the refitted starship like the unveiling of a deity, and with good reason. Douglas Trumbull, who worked on 2001 and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, brought an elevated sense of realism to the ship's design and motion. It's no surprise the movie was nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars. In an era before CGI, these practical effects, model work, and optical compositing were cutting edge. Watching the director's edition on a 4K screen today gives the film a new vitality. Every detail of VGR, the Enterprise, and the vastness of space is more immersive than ever. 3. The score is one of Jerry Goldsmith's best. If there's one universally praised aspect of the motion picture, it's Jerry Goldsmith's iconic score. From the majestic new theme that would later become the main title for Star Trek, The Next Generation, to the eerie and majestic compositions accompanying the VGR sequence, the music lifts the film to operatic levels. Goldsmith used innovative techniques and instruments, including the then-novel blaster beam, to create an unsettling soundscape that matched the alien unknowability of VGR. The music doesn't just accompany the visuals, it tells its own story. In fact, without Goldsmith's score, the film's slow pacing would be much harder to endure. But with it, the motion picture transforms into a meditative ballet in space, where the music acts as our emotional anchor. It's easily one of the most important and unforgettable scores in Star Trek history. 4. It's the most Star Trek of all the movies. While later entries like Wrath of Khan, First Contact, or the Kelvin timeline films emphasized action and drama, the motion picture is uniquely loyal to Gene Roddenberry's original vision. This isn't a film about revenge or galactic conquest. It's about the pursuit of knowledge, evolution, and understanding what it means to be human. The plot doesn't hinge on defeating an enemy. Instead, it's about communication, empathy, and transformation. Kirk doesn't destroy VGR, he helps it evolve. It's an ending driven by intellect and compassion, not phasers and torpedoes. In a way, this film represents the truest extension of the original series, especially its more contemplative episodes like The Changeling or The Immunity Syndrome. Roddenberry's fingerprints are all over this movie, and that makes it unique among the franchise's cinematic entries. 5. The characters are deeply human. Critics have often argued that the motion picture sidelines the emotional warmth of the original crew, but that's only partially true. The film presents the characters as older, wearier, and in some ways, lost. That's not a failure of writing, it's intentional. Kirk, having accepted a promotion to admiral, is dissatisfied with desk duty. He's clearly yearning for purpose, and that manifests in his commandeering of the Enterprise. Spock, meanwhile, is emotionally distant after undergoing the Kolinar ritual to purge his emotions, and only through his contact with VGR does he come to accept the value of his human half. Even McCoy, dragged back into service against his will, reveals depth in his cynicism and compassion. These aren't the swashbuckling heroes of the 1960s, they're people facing the next phase of their lives. The emotional payoff, especially in Spock's awakening and Kirk's willingness to let go of command for the good of the mission, lands harder than it's given credit for. 6. The director's edition fixes the flaws. There's no denying that the original theatrical cut of the motion picture had issues. It was rushed to theaters with incomplete special effects and lacking final edits. But the 2001 director's edition, recently remastered in 4K with Wise's original intent fully realized, changes everything. This version tightens the pacing, enhances the visual effects, and adds clarity to several scenes that previously felt awkward or incomplete. With these adjustments, the film flows more gracefully, and its emotional and narrative beats land with greater impact. The director's edition is the definitive version of the film. It doesn't just polish the motion picture, it recontextualizes it. What once felt plotting now feels deliberate. What once seemed emotionally cold now feels quietly profound. It's the version that should have been released in 1979, and it proves that there's a genuinely great film hiding beneath the rough reputation. Final thoughts. A sci-fi epic that deserves a second chance. Star Trek. The motion picture isn't perfect, but it never set out to be. It aspired to be something bold, thoughtful, and radically different from what was expected. And though it may not have satisfied the blockbuster cravings of the late 70s, it carved a unique identity as Star Trek's most introspective and ambitious film. In today's entertainment landscape, where thoughtful science fiction is often overshadowed by action and spectacle, the motion picture feels more relevant than ever. It challenges the audience to slow down, to think, and to feel something deeper than adrenaline. It may not be your favorite Star Trek film, but it just might be the one that speaks most to what the franchise is really about. So if you've written it off as boring or forgotten it altogether, now is the perfect time to revisit Star Trek, the motion picture. Watch the director's edition, let Jerry Goldsmith's score wash over you, and let yourself get lost in the majesty of deep space. You might discover that this once maligned film is, in fact, one of Star Trek's most meaningful voyages.